So I'm just going to jump right into it. When the morning sun rose over the tops of the North Shore mountain range, it illuminated the dew that had congregated on top of the grass and had found a home in the windshield of a car that quietly drove into the day. The sound of a sprinkler playfully tricked me out of sleep so that I desperately tried to hold on to the last strands of a dream that were being picked up by some subconscious wind and flowing away. I caught a handful, though, so I know I dreamt of living on North American rivers and lakes, flowing like the strands of a dream, visiting place to place. I felt the loving embrace of it and the soft whisper of the river, and we lay side by side, and on the horizon the sun shone bright so that the river became flowing blonde hair, being brushed aside by my hand. I dreamt that I swam underwater. And water surrounded me and engulfed me, so I had no air inside, yet had no need of it, because the embrace was soft and loving. And although the unknown was behind each bend, the river was kind, and so I trusted it to take me to the golden flatlands and warm summer breezes of the Midwest. My river quietly led me to the two small lakes that shone bright blue-gray from the golden plains. And while they were cold in the dark, the light and warmth of that summer sun made them happy, and it was easy to leave behind care and love without limits within their borders. In my dream, the two lakes became suns as well, making me forget that there was a blue sky with wisps of cloud and sunlight beating down on me. Yet what so often happens in dreams, as in the day, the sun must time descend, and with it warmth is forced to fade. So I dived deep, desperately trying to rediscover the warmth that had faded from those beautiful lakes that had suddenly stopped shining bright from the plains, in fact, now cold and distant, and even in the dark depths of the lakes, I only found memories of the day and felt tired and alone, like my river had abandoned me. In time, with the lost beat of my once hopeful heart, a new river took me back to that old passage through the golden land I'd grown to love. I tricked myself into believing that the coldness of those once bright lakes was just a brief respite from the sunshine summer signs, with the favorable flight of eagles above my head and hopeful horizons spread out before me. And once again, in my ignorant peace, I forced my fear to relent so that I slept and ignored unrest like a man who ignores that he has nothing left. So when I dreamed of a canyon of unrelenting depths, and at the bottom I moved, and instead of warmth felt the cool shade of crags and sharp stockades that menaced me from the canyon wall. Oh, how I wished I walked with the reality at the canyon top, but I dreamt of rivers and lakes, so I couldn't escape, because I only wanted to return to the loving whisper of my river. Lost, it seemed, to sharp rocks I avoided with only a tattered shirt left on my chest, heart torn away from my sleeve by an undercurrent that threatened to pull me under, so I fought, gasping for each breath. It was all that I had left. My dream, I realized, had turned to nightmare, and like the first snow in November, I was tricked into having faith in the weather. In my river, I was looking for peace, wondering how rapids could come from love, and in the end, when I reached the concrete riverbed, how it could all dry up. The warm sun grew oppressive and pushed me to my knees, reduced to searching for condensation in far corners of the river, finding myself remembering fondly the steep canyon walls, rough rapids, and sharp stone that if you buffeted me to this far away from home, wishing for past bad times gone, because in my desperate thirst, I was forced to cower in my crippling pain, stare to the heavens, and pray for rain. It was then that I had awoken, frantically snatching at each strand. Now outside, day had become warm and the summer breeze inviting. Perhaps there were secretaries somewhere gossiping at lunch, construction workers wolf whistling at the businesswoman walking to lunch with all the men, focusing on being firm while shaking hands. But in my reverie, I clung to my desk like a sailor, clinging to the last plank of a broken ship. The troubled thoughts whirlpooled inside my head. The joy and pain of my dream, the love I felt, and the peace that had engulfed me. The fear I felt flying between sharp stones, avoided like loveless looks being sent my way from the river that once glowed blonde in the sun, being fed by the lake that used to shine blue-gray, filled with light. Then all cut off, nature or my mind's cruel jest. Oh, to have walked along the riverbed, to have seen the pitfalls that had transformed to hurdles which, engulfed by water, I could not see or ignored in my joy, that now part of me hoped for dry land alone. Though it was only a dream, I still stared out my window, cursing that it never taught me about how to survive this terrible drought. Okay, thanks.